so much for coming today. My name is Jermaine Hampton. I'm the Senior Director of Workforce Development and Special Projects for LAEDC. First and foremost, thank you to our partners at Microsoft. We have Linda back there who is smiling and giggling. Thank you so much for having us utilize this space. It's a beautiful space, and obviously Microsoft is a long-standing partner of LAEDC.
And Jermaine, I also want to add, this is the chair of our Black African American
Linda, why don't you come on up? Please.
Okay, Diana, you're coming.
Let's have a couple words from Linda and team to welcome us and get us started here, please. Thank you.
Hi everyone, welcome to Microsoft. We're super excited to be hosting this forum here. I know that there's so much talent, creativity, and excitement in this room, and we hope that this is going to be the beginning of many conversations and other times that you'll come back. And so I also want to introduce Diana, my colleague, who is very active. She, as I mentioned, she's the chair of our Black African American Employee Resource Group. And we do a lot of community engagement activities all around the region, and it's great to have her, and maybe she can also share a little bit about what she does here.
Yeah, thank you, team. And as Linda shared, we have our Blacks at Microsoft, ERG, and so we have a worldwide chapter, and I help support our California chapter. And so we try to support a lot of these different initiatives and events in the community. And I will be around today along with my colleague in the back. If you guys have any questions about what it's like to work at Microsoft, the things we do, any connections we can make in networking, we can help you with as well. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. So a couple things before we get started and we bring up our opening speaker, Stephen Chung. On the tables and around, you will see the History to Future agenda, QR code. You can scan that so that you can actually get the run of show. On that run of show, we have 4 different panels and we have 3 different intermissions. There is going to be activity for the intermissions. They're 10 minutes apiece. But in between that, we can also do some socializing, some networking, some connecting, which I also want to ensure that folks are doing. We have an excellent 4 panels that we're going to be producing today, which is all going to be on that agenda. And some really, really great speakers that are here today with us as well. So we welcome you, obviously, to please stay all the way to the end. The session should actually conclude at 5 o'clock today. And so we do, like I said, have water over there, and we can take pictures in between. So without further ado, I do want to bring up our CEO of LAEDC, Stephen Chung. Stephen?
Microsoft for hosting us again. So again, my name is Stephen Chung. I'm the CEO for the Los Angeles County Economic Development Corporation. Our job is to really help this region reimagine our regional economy to create one that's more equitable, sustainable, resilient, growing, and one that provides a healthy and high standard of living for all. So that's a big task, and how we hope to do so is to move one industry at a time. And we apply the research capacity that we have to identify the industry we want to grow, bring together all our partners from public, private, nonprofit, academic, labor, environmental, stakeholder groups combined together to lay out the strategy to move forward. We can then move our ecosystems, whether it's business assistance, whether it's international companies that we want to attract over here, and just as importantly, our workforce development systems. How do we work with our community colleges, our universities, our talent development systems to make sure that our next generation of workers are well represented when it comes to diversity, when it comes to not only geographic diversity and ethnic diversity, but also diversity of experiences as well. And that's why LADC is really focused on digital media entertainment, but more so also the arts sector as well, because this is all tying together. LADC did a report in 2018. We actually created the first digital media entertainment council. And at that point, we released a report in partnership with the community colleges around Los Angeles. And we found that the entertainment and digital media entertainment sector combined together have about 420,000 jobs back then. The number's been growing except during COVID. We took a really, really big hit because we have to shut down production because of COVID. And as we're coming back, we have to understand that this is not going to come back by itself. We really need to basically bring everything together. But it gives us a chance to basically reshape the future of our economy, what that's going to look like. And that's why, especially today, during the last day of Black History Month, it's so important to talk about the diversity, the importance of representation. How many of you guys are gamers here? Have you guys played, this is The Last of Us? Yeah, anybody? Have you guys seen the show?
Yes.
Like, what's impactful is basically right now we're seeing a different type of influence. Previously, it's about entertainment, about movies and television shows, how they influence the culture around us. Right now, video games are now impacting the way that we're seeing and changing culture and changing our representation as well. That's why having diverse background, diverse individuals represented not only behind, in front of the camera, but also behind the camera, because those are the folks that are shaping the stories, shaping what the future of this entire economy can look like. But this is another thing that's really important to us at LADC. We also oversee a nonprofit called the World Trade Center Los Angeles, and this is the international trade arm for LADC. And what we do is we work with our international partners. Many people don't know that Los Angeles is home to the world's third largest consular port, meaning there are over 100 countries represented right here with our offices open. The world is looking at Los Angeles. The world is looking at our context. So when we shape the future of this industry, we shape the future of the world in many ways. And so we're excited to basically be able to partner with all of you, and hopefully we can continue this conversation. And all the panels I'm very excited to learn more about. But as we're moving forward, please count on LADC as your support to make sure that we're able to bring in the diverse voices that are necessary in order for us to shape the future of this industry and other industries as well. So with that, I'll pass it back to Jermaine. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And so let me bring up our panelists and our moderators. So first we have, for our first panel, the 50th anniversary conversation, hip-hop culture as social justice and community engagement. Our moderator, Jay Tucker from UCLA. We have Sketch, our first panelist from Music to Ears. Madison Lee from Pergola Pictures and Scenario Entertainment. Whitney Tabor from Fab Factory Studios. And Candace Newman from the CEO and founder of Live Out Loud. Thank you so much, and let me hand it over to Jay. And if everyone can just flick up the mics, turn them on.
Okay, so great to see all these beautiful faces. So welcome, and thank you so much for making the trip, and for finding where you were supposed to talk. Thank you. So my name is Jay Tucker, and I run the Center for Media, Entertainment, and Sports at UCLA's Anderson School of Management. That's the business school there, where we do courses for MBAs, undergraduate courses as well in the summertime, a pre-college program for high school students, a couple of pretty big conferences. We did a sports one back in October. We're going to be doing another big conference, April 14th, our Pulse Conference. And then we have partnerships with folks across the industry. So, you know, one of the things that I'm really committed to is leveraging education to create innovation and opportunities in the entertainment and sports space. And as Stephen mentioned, not only is that a big part of our culture and are things booming here in Southern California, but remember, we're creeping up towards the 2028 Olympics as well, right? So you're going to see even more attention from the world on Los Angeles, right? I've been reflecting over the last couple of months about the fact that we've made a pretty big deal of this 50th anniversary of hip-hop. Now, I grew up in New York City. I grew up in Queens. And hip-hop was really dear to me. So my first impression was like, well, is it really 50? Because the first time people actually started to make records was maybe a few years later, but it's cool. But the second thing was just thinking about the amazing, amazing, and tremendous impact that hip-hop has had on our culture, right? On the way people view the world, on the way people from our community view each other, right? And we've had some people become incredibly successful economically as a result of their work in this space. That said, when I look back over the last 50 years, I also see people that are no longer with us. Because the things that plague our communities, that wealth didn't necessarily insulate them from those things, right? Their fame didn't necessarily make sure they made healthy choices. Their influence didn't necessarily protect them from, you know, the effects of poverty in communities. Right? So I'm not just thinking about the people who died from gunshots. I'm thinking about the people who died from HIV. I'm thinking about Five Dog who died from diabetes. Right? And so part of this conversation I hope that we're going to get into is talking, one, about what we can do to make sure that our community still remains a vibrant part of the hip-hop culture, and how do we make sure we bring people into that experience, but also hopefully through the experiences of the people that are going to be here on the panel, we'll also talk about how to lead and live in a way that's healthy for you and the people around you. Does that sound okay?
Yes.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the line. I'm actually going to start on the far end with Sketch and ask each of my panelists just to introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their journey before we get into the rest. I want to make sure that you know who these people are, okay? So Sketch, if you could introduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Sketch, which is actually an acronym that stands for Successfully Conquers Everything That Challenges Him. My path for hip-hop specifically took me from Ohio to Los Angeles as a young kid to tell my mom I wanted to be a DJ. She said nobody's going to pay you to play that rap music. That was in the 80s. Fast forward, I ended up getting turntables, becoming a DJ, wanting to pursue it as a career. I graduate from high school. 3 weeks after I graduate, I want to pursue DJing, and my mom says she's not with it. She kicks me out of the house. 3 years later, I bought my first house. This year is my 23-year anniversary since I had a full-time job. And I've gone from DJ to creative entrepreneur to now founding a nonprofit and social enterprise dedicated to building a pathway for students in the future.
Okay, that was the Leader's Digest version. I want you to talk a little bit about that journey from being kicked out to being able to get your own home. What happened in between?
Absolutely. So it was interesting because when I was in high school, I started practicing and wanting to get better at DJing, and my mom never really supported it. And so growing up, I thought I'm either going to be rich or I'm going to be broke, right? So that path to being rich was being a rapper. At the time, I wasn't even thinking about being a DJ. So it was interesting because I was working at UCLA at the time. My senior year of high school, I started working at UCLA. And it seems like a blur, but at the time, it was one day at a time, which is, I don't know what's going to happen the next day, but I came home, I bought an Astro band, I thought my mom was going to be excited. She said, you got to go if you want to pursue that. And I never thought I would ever be able to buy a house. Growing up in LA, I didn't think I would live past the age of 18. 21, maybe 25 was the bonus round. And so, again, one day at a time. UCLA taught me a lot of things, but then that migration of being a creative entrepreneur is really what helped me understand there's more money in the business side than on the artist side. And so although I did them both at the same time, the business is what allowed me to buy the house. I think I was 21 at the time.
It's awesome. We're going to come back to the business opportunities in a second, too. Madison.
Thank you so much, and thank you LAEDC for having us here. Thank you, Jermaine, for inviting me, and also Microsoft. It's good to meet you, Jay, and all my other panelists up here. My name is Madison Lee, and I'm originally from Detroit. And so I'm 55 years old. And, you know, the beginning, I was there when on the yellow school bus listening to Sugar Hill Gang, if you will. Yeah, and I remember the first time I heard the song, all the kids, and I was like, who could ever remember all of those words?
18 minutes, but we memorized all
We
of them.
memorized every single one before it was said and done. I could probably sing it to this day. And it was a sound. It was something that was different, and it felt very empowering, and it felt like it was something that I could really relate to, coming from where I came from. And you know, that was the beginning for me. My dad was a DJ, and I would do his news sometimes when I was 6 years old. And so I was in the studio very early on. And then when I went to college, went to Michigan State, and then I became a house music DJ. And I was DJing in the dorm. Electronic music was just starting in Detroit, and we called it progressive music back then. And it's, you know, it's become a worldwide phenomenon as well as hip hop. And when I left there, left Michigan State, I started working in an ad agency, and I saw all the people coming in the door in blue jeans and t-shirts, and they would listen to Janet Jackson, and they were on the other side of the building. And I was on the account side. I had a business suit, and I was like, on the other side of the building. So I went back to school, went to a trade school for broadcasting for radio and television. Ended up doing a couple of decades as an on-air personality and as a producer for CBS Radio. And after that, I came to LA. And, you know, I applied for one radio job here. I did. And I didn't get it. And it was different for me because I'd always been recruited everywhere I went. And so it was a little of my little ego. And at the same time, it was also a time of introspection. I was like, well, you know, maybe, you know, when in Rome. So I went back to school, went to UCLA Extension, and I was looking for funding at the time. And all of the funding that was available were for one-year programs. And it was stuff like installing solar panels and becoming a CNA. And I was like, well, these are government funds. Why can't I use it for whatever I want to? And so they said, well, you have to be able to find a job in the industry. I said, well, I've been working in the industry, but I can find a job in the industry and I'll give you proof. So I got a letter from a producer that said she would hire me once I graduated. So I took that letter and went to UCLA, and they said, well, we have 3-year programs. The funding is only available for 1 year. So I did a 3-year program in 9 months and 4-pointed every single class. Because, you know, when I showed up in the room, I wanted to know what it was that I was talking about. You know, and so many people would come to LA and they call it the city of broken dreams for a reason. So I didn't want to fall into that category. And I give myself 10 years to master anything that I'm doing. So I started, you know, graduated, started working with producers, sat next to him for 7 years, and kind of ear hustled the entire time. I was creating my own content. And 2 years ago, I hired that same producer who works for me now. But in terms of the film industry now, you know, I'm a filmmaker. I worked on projects like Lone Survivor, Two Guns, and I'm also doing the Hidden Figures of auto racing with IndyCar as a sponsor, and also Firestone Tires. And I've got a docu-series called Hip Hop Made Me with Damon John, Killer Mike, and also Trick Trick. And I believe it's going to be one of the deepest dives into hip hop that has happened because we've been developing it for years, and we get real down and dirty with it, and then we also express a lot of the positivity that we experienced, particularly growing up, that came from hip hop. I mean, one of the first songs that I fell in love with was LL Cool J, I Need Love, and that was my definition of the relationship at the time. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, go girl. Look, I'm on 4.0 in all the classes. I'm like amazing in 9 months. Well, hello everybody, and again, thank you so much for having me. My name is Whitney Tabor. Just like everybody on the panel, I'm sure we all have a million titles. But a few of mine are, I helped run Fat Factory Studios, but I also helped start a nonprofit here in Los Angeles called Girls Make Beats. Girls Make Beats is a nonprofit organization that teaches girls 5 to 17 how to engineer, produce, and DJ. We love to make sure that the girls are just as smart as my sister over here, and they can feel comfortable stepping into any room and take on whatever it is that they set their minds to. I didn't start there though. How I got into music and just my love for hip hop and in general, I'm actually from a very small town, so just like a lot of us transplants. I grew up on a reservation of 1,200 people on the coast of Washington State. 1,200 people still live there today. A lot of my cousins and all my aunties are all still there. But a place that you don't really leave. So life was lifing, you know, at 22. So I said, I don't think college is for me. And I dipped off and got married and I did all these things and I went across the country. It was like, okay, let's do that, and like continue to hit. And something that said, go to LA or Miami. And being a responsible 22-year-old, I said, well, wherever I get a job first. And this is one of the things I love to reiterate to our girls is closed mouths don't get fed. I'm probably going to say that a bunch because I remember just that was the one thing that kind of got me into all of the spaces and places that I've been currently in my young years. So I told my best friend, I said, hey, I think I want to move to LA or Miami, wherever I get a job first. She said, well, I know somebody whose cousin's auntie somebody works here. And I said, I don't need their help, I got this, you know. She said, girl, everybody needs help. So she, you know, threw me in the mix. I threw my resume in there. Mind you, community college dropout, have zero experience. I think my last job was a housewife. So again, I had no experience in life in general. And submitted that resume anyway, just like threw it up. And literally got the job in 2 weeks. They said, how quick can you be here? I said, well, no idea what and again, sorry, the job that I got was, I was the executive assistant, so this is my first job in music, by the way, the executive assistant to Rihanna's creative director. This was not like billionaire cool, kicking it, not doing much Rihanna, she do a lot, but this was like top of the world, doing everything Rihanna. So again, that being your first job and not even, what I was like, what does a creative director even do? But I'm gonna figure it out. So we're just gonna jump into it. Flew across the country, drove back in 3 days, started working for Rihanna and her team the next day. Stayed for about a year. Another thing that I'm going to continue to drop the gems as much as I can, because I feel like sharing the knowledge that we gain is how we all grow, don't matter, it doesn't matter if you know what you're doing, just figure it out. Like, just tuck and roll. So I tucked and rolled into this position and followed my happiness. So following my happiness was how I actually ended up leaving that job that I got, my first job in music, working for Rihanna's team, and got a job working at the Record Plant, which is one of the top 25 recording studios in the world. A lot of really iconic hip-hop records that come from any record plant that we've had in the past history. So I actually worked there, started at the bottom, now we're here. Again, I have no school. I didn't go back. Maybe I could have hollered at you for a little bit because I need to come back and finish. But I just started at the bottom and worked my way up. In 2020, I left Record Plant after 10 years. Started as an intern and left as the vice president of the entire company and business development. During that time, though, I fell in love with my sister and my partner in crime, if you will, Tiffany Miranda, who founded Girls Make Beats out of Miami, which we are 10 years. It's our 10-year anniversary for the organization itself, so really excited that we got to meet. So in 2017, Tiffany reached out to me and said, hey, can I bring 10 little girls to, Record Plant? And I'm like, this is like a serious studio. Like, we don't you can't just like take it and pull up. Like, no, sis, I'm sorry, I love you, but you can't just pull up. So, but when she showed me like what the organization itself was doing and why, I said, well, why am I saying no? Like, I'm the boss, I'm in charge. Yeah, actually I'm changing that rule. No, they can come up and I don't care if Pharrell or whoever's here, I'll let them know my girls is with me. So I gave 10 little girls a tour of Record Plant, which again, it's a pretty big studio. And it kind of changed me when it comes to the things that one person can do when putting good into the world. I know we see a lot of bad stuff when it comes to the news and social media. We see constant, like, it's hard. We all doing it, right? We're all doing it every single day, even though we're all got our accolades and our things, it's still hard every single day for all of us, right? So for me, it was like, well, good happens the same way bad happens. So one person can make a lot of change. So I gave this tour to these little girls and I said, I said to Tiffany, I said, we're all good. I love telling the story also, sorry, I swear I'm gonna wrap it up soon. But Tiffany, we gave them the tour of Record Plant. And I said, this is where Eminem did this, and this is where 50 Cent and Elton John and Prince and like all of these cool stories, right? I got to tell them. And I stopped at I showed them my office, and Tiffany was like, well, wait a minute, we gotta show them your office. I said, no, like, let's go dance and listen to music and eat cupcakes. Like, we don't gotta show them your office. And then so I'm gonna speak directly to the ladies, if I could, to the ladies in the building. I really want you guys to like shine a little bit brighter, because this was the one point that made that light bulb for me go off to the point where now I get to change lives every single day with just creating more opportunity for young girls who look just like all of us in this room. And I almost didn't do it. I almost didn't do it because I was dimming myself and dimming my light. But Tiffany insisted, no, we gotta show your office. I said, the office is kind of drab, there's no cool stories, it's not that fun. She said, just trust me. And I bring these 10 girls upstairs and I show them my office. And when I tell you, like I said, no paintings, no pool, it wasn't a vibe. They were like, this is cool, can I take your pic? Can I sit in the chair? They're pretending to be on the phone. I'm like, okay, I still don't get it, but if y'all want to finish that invoice, go right ahead, I'm not excited about it, but okay. And then we finish up, we wrap it up, and I'm thinking, cool, like that was my good deed. I'm not gonna see them again, I'm gonna go back to my life and doing what I do. They sent me a recap video about a month later, and one of the baby girls straight up said, the best part of the tour was going into the boss's office. I could see myself being there. And for me, I'm like, who the boss? Who is she talking about? I'm like, oh, wait a minute. She's talking about me. So again, you ladies encourage you to celebrate yourself, celebrate that, and shine bright. After that, I told Tiffany, I said, hey, this needs to be bigger. That same light that God said, hey, jump in and just do what you need to do. He also said, help her make this bigger. So I convinced Tiffany, who never left Miami, who never left her world or her family or anything. I said, jump with me. Come on, sis. Let's do this. I want to help you make this bigger. 2018, we launched the LA chapter, which I'm a very proud founder of. And since then, we just built an academy in North Hollywood at Fab Factory Studios, which I helped run as well. We have ongoing classes all throughout the year. Hybrid classes, I mean, in school, our Miami chapter is still running. So again, like, your journey matters, you matter, and the things that you have going on, everybody's resonating with you. We all are here, no matter what level you are in the game, we're all here to play. So that's it, I think, for a while. Like I said, I didn't tap into all the little things because I got so excited. I'll say that in a call. But yeah, so I'm excited to pass it to my sis Candace.
Hey. Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Awesome. My name is Candace Newman. I am an LA native, born and raised. Hey. Anybody else in here from LA? We gotta represent. So a little bit about my background. I work in the live concert touring industry. I don't know if you know too many people that look like me who work in that industry, but the reason why I am here is because I'm someone who is trying to break the mold in that and penetrate that space. My background is that I worked in corporate America for Live Nation for 12 years. As an only black woman in that space, I started as an executive assistant and just created my own succession plan and graduated, but not without trouble, like everyone else's journey. Working in corporate America, being an only, I was held back a lot. You know, I was discouraged to work on certain projects and or insert myself or to use my voice a lot. I was told to just be happy to be there a lot. You know, but you know, I know who I am in this world, so that really allowed me to kind of navigate and create my own succession plan for my life and my career beyond my time at Live Nation in corporate America. So I decided to create space and opportunity, create my own platform, Live Out Live. And so Live Out Live is a platform where I wanted to create access and opportunity for more diverse people to have a pipeline into the live concert industry. Through that, my organization does workshops, internships, and mentorships, and all kinds of other collaborations to kind of help amplify the mission and the work there. A little bit more about my time at Live Nation. You know, I worked on some high-level tours. I worked on Rihanna, which was a really big deal for me, which was her last tour in 2018. I worked specifically when it came to hip-hop tours. I helped come up with conceptual ideas like Drake versus Lil Wayne, or help create the pipeline for Kendrick Lamar and TDE ultimately, and helping them see the vision, me being from LA, having a tie and a relationship to those guys. So for me, hip hop, R&B, those were all like the soundtrack to my life. You know, they are what made me passionate about pursuing a career in the music industry. I didn't know exactly where I was going to land in this industry. I didn't know that I was going to work in live concert and tours because there was nobody else that looked like me. So there was no representation, there was no pathway, there was nothing. And so, but again, God knew that there was a place for me, so He just kind of carved out this path, and I followed it. You know, like I said, not without the hurdles of dealing with systemic issues within corporate America and having to navigate around that. So after 12 years, I say I graduated, but I graduated with 12 years of IP. So I was paying attention, I was leaning in while I was there. I wasn't just, you know, going through the flow, excited to be at a large-scale company, working on concerts and tours, and making a little bit of money, because it was just a little bit of money. I was carving out what this next side of this endeavor and this career for me would look like, essentially, without even knowing it. And so now, as an entrepreneur in the live concert business, I take on clients, right now. I just wrote out a tour, Tink, this morning, and I'm constantly launching tours. We just launched a comedy tour, Straight Jokes No Chaser, with Mike Epps as the host, and DC Youngfly and a bunch of other talent. So I consult with the companies and I consult with artists and independents to give them access into the live concert business, specifically ones who look like me, right? And on the back end, my tagline for my company is Beyond the Main Stage. So just as much as I want to create access for independent artists and give them access to the live concert business, help them create history, tour history across markets, help them create market value across the live concert business. Beyond that and beyond the main stage, I want to create access for people that look like us. I want to give them jobs and show them other people who are behind the scenes, who are doing a multitude of roles within the live concert business and how that can be them. I want to help them understand transferable skills, and what they're doing now does not mean that they can't do what I'm doing now or what other people in my industry are doing. So just really opening up the industry in a way that does not make my peers within that industry very happy, because I'm giving away trade secrets, right? I'm not giving away their specific trade secrets, but industry secrets that have been gatekept for a very long time and that only a certain group have had access to, right? Especially when it comes to jobs and roles and opportunities, right? I didn't know that there was a job for me in that space, but for some weird reason, not even weird reason, a purpose-driven reason, I had access to it. And so now I'm able to do it on the other side, and as an entrepreneur, and do it on my own terms, do it within my own time frame, make as much money as I want to. There's no glass ceiling. There's no systemic matters that I have to deal with as an entrepreneur in that space. And I can choose and decide who and what projects I want to work on, what endeavors that I choose to work on, instead of just being thrust into certain jobs internally and having to deal with disrespect a lot of times from agents and managers and artists, because corporate structure allows that. So, you know, on the other side, it's been great as an entrepreneur in the live concert business, but also as a founder for a foundation, Live Out Live Foundation, where I am actively creating access into this industry. So it's kind of a internal pipeline, right? If I have tours, if I have events, I'm going to allow people youth from our community to have access to helping however they see fit, whether it's on the booking side, whether it's as a PA on set, whether it's helping deal with the artists or manage logistics or manage the guest list. Whatever it is, I want to give them access to, or a window into this industry so that it can untap or unlock you know, ideas and career paths that they didn't even think about exploring otherwise. So, you know, I want to be that person. And again, other people who are doing the work that I'm doing, I'm not the only one doing this work, right? So I'm a resource. I'm just one person. I just have one platform. So if I can be a resource to people and extend my network, extend other organizations that I'm familiar with, and amplify them who are doing the work, you know, I'm obliged to do it. So it's a little bit about me and my background, and I'll stop there so we can move on with the panel.
So now you know why everybody's here. First, just because I see so many fresh faces over here on this side, some of y'all are tired. You guys all right?
Right. Look at us.
You all right? Okay. Just out of curiosity, so we talked about a couple of songs. You said I Need Love, LL. You mentioned Rapper's Delight, Sugar Hill Gang. Have you guys ever heard either of those songs?
Yeah.
Hands up? Yes? Maybe? Kind of? Yeah? All right. Quick poll. Favorite hip-hop artists in your top 5. Does your top 5 include Rakim? Does your top 5 include Big Daddy Kane? Does your top 5 include Queen Latifah? Does your top 5 include A Tribe Called Quest? You gotta say the whole thing. Does your top 5 include Mos Def?
Definitely.
Yes.
Missy Elliott?
Yeah.
Does your top 5 include Jay-Z?
Here we go.
Yeah.
You got to start thanks to Big Daddy Kane, but we're not gonna go there. Does your top 5 include Ice Cube? Okay. Snoop? Nelly? Luda. Too short. Okay, we got a couple. Kendrick Lamar, right? We got to go modern. Kendrick Lamar? Any Kendrick Lamar? Macklemore? Kanye?
Biggie.
Tupac? Okay. All right. So that's what we're talking about now. We're talking about culture, right?
Yes.
We got tons of artists out there. Some of them that you guys have never heard of and probably won't. Cypress Hill, Slick Rick the Ruler, right? But somehow, some way, a lot of that culture has seeped through and gotten to you, right? Now, when we think about the music industry, we typically think about music production, songwriting, rapping, creation, right? But there are a lot of other opportunities out there, particularly because technology has changed the business in so many ways, and the business is much more global. So I'm just going to go down the line and ask my panelists to just talk about some of the opportunities they see for this group going forward that you think are worth pursuing.
Well, the great thing about hip hop is it has so many entry points, right? So for me, it was as a DJ. Then again, I got into business later on. But I think for future generations, I always call them creative careers of the future, right? So when I told my mom I wanted to be a DJ, she didn't think that was a career at the time. There are careers that are being developed now that I think in the next 10, 20 years will include music and elements of hip hop that we can't even anticipate. They're not preparing the students for those careers in elementary, middle school, high school, and even some colleges, right? So I think discovering your love of whatever it is and then finding a pathway where you can do that for the rest of your life is what I would always recommend people to do.
Yeah, absolutely. To dovetail off of what Jay was talking about in terms of our musical history and learning what some of those elements are and who those individuals are. And I gotta add the locks to your list. Jadakiss. It's really important, to know where you came from, of course, to know where you're going. I also encourage some of the things that you just talked about in terms of leaving yourself open and being able to capture some of those things that come your way in the universe and not just limit yourself to just those careers that you see externally on the outside, because those individuals that you see that are doing well, that are creating money, living their dream, I say creating money because in a lot of businesses they are, they have an entire team behind them. And so just getting in the mix, half of everything in life, from my perspective, is just showing up in the first place. I come from a city that people won't go outside a 10-mile radius of their home. I come from Detroit. You're fortunate to be here in LA, one of the entertainment capitals of the world. But extend even beyond that. When I was 25, I went and lived in Italy. I lived in the Dominican Republic, and sometimes it can be even less expensive than it is here. But it's about trusting yourself and taking that leap, because there are opportunities that are out there that I'm unaware of, that I'm not even able to tell you that you have that. Sometimes I say when I played basketball in high school, and I would fall sometimes because I was so eager and so anxious, and my coach told me, let the ball come to you. And so some of that is just being open to some of the things that are around you. And the fact that you're here today is really important and really pivotal. I went to my first music conference, and really very cold at the time, Minnesota. It was a conclave. And our Def Jam was there for the first time. They had a little flag. That was their marketing. They had a flag and they were flying, and it said Def Jam all weekend. It was like 3 people from their team. And we're having lunch, and all of a sudden I hear somebody go, "Ooh-ha! I got you all in check." And I'm like, what is that? And Busta literally started walking down the dining room table singing his song. And it was just an amazing experience. And some of the music conferences, all of the panels, make sure you take advantage of those things. And you might go into an area career-wise or job-wise. It's also important to know what you don't want to do. So it's okay to take opportunities and say, ooh, that was one of the reasons that I got into entertainment as well, because I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield as a claims processor. And I was like, I can't do this. I was looking at people, twice my age, and I looked in their eyes, and they just were tired. And I was like, okay, well, I fulfilled my obligation at the job, because you never cut anything that you can untie. You always leave things open, you never know who you're going to encounter again. But I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. So it's just as important to find out what you don't want to do as it is to figure out what you want to do. And that is an ongoing process. Like, I'm still learning myself by showing up, and there's so much out there. And you guys have so much opportunity right now. When I was growing up, AI was Allen Iverson. But it's a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. And I encourage you, if I was younger, I swear I would be all over ChatGPT. I would be all over artificial intelligence. It is here right now. They call the internet the information superhighway. Okay? And no, everybody was like, what is this thing that's coming? It's the same thing with ChatGPT. They had a big difference.
Goodness. Now, new, and like I said, I love everything you're saying. I'm getting notes too, y'all. Like I said, I should have brought my notepad up here because, like you were saying, you're always learning. So for myself, I also am in charge of partnerships with Girls Make Beats. That just came from networking and being in rooms, being friendly, being cool with everybody. I mean, like literally one of the things I tell the girls is, be cool with even the people who are rude to you. You're gonna see all the rude people, the people that said no, smile and wave. You know the little penguins, right? Smile and wave, boy, just smile and wave. Because guess what? The people who were rude to me, I'm now head of and they're the head of the and then we're all like, oh hey, how you been? Cool. I'm not gonna be mad. I'm just gonna, let's do business. We're here to work. So some of the new things that I've encountered, and I love that, being open to changing is forever a thing. Like, you have to be open to saying, okay, well, I wanted to be a producer. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I just didn't want to be where I was at. Like, that's how I got into music. I loved music, but I was like, I'm going to be the best studio manager. I don't, what? No, like, that was not a thing, but it became a thing. And I'm like, oh, wow, I kind of like this, until I'm like, come over it. Let's try something new. And now I'm doing partnerships. I get to partner with Microsoft and cool schools and all of these cool, amazing things to provide access for the girls. I think some of the really cool things that I think technologically, is that the word, technologically, you know, for all of y'all, is sync licensing. I know you guys all want to be Metro Boomin, you guys all want to be, you know, whatever hot rapper or producer there is, but there's so much money. Again, that's the one thing I feel like creatives, you have to have that one thing that sustains you so your brain can be clear enough to create the way you want to create, right? Well, again, we all live in this world, right? We all in LA do what it's a little more expensive than Dominican, you know what I mean? But I'm like, okay, well, I gotta have my regular job and then I have to try to be creative, right? Well, there are awesome opportunities in sync licensing. You can do like, think about it like this. This is how I tell girls. Everything you touch, right, has music. You step into an elevator, some of them, right? Some of them, I'm like, oh, yeah, where's the elevator music, right? Somebody has to create that, but if you turn around and license that, they can pay you forever. You know what I mean? So again, knowing the business side of the music game is the game. It is the cheat code. So again, looking at things like licensing for a commercial. It's not the coolest, it's not a Drake beat, it's not a Future song, but it's gonna make sure your future is very bright because you ain't gotta worry about going to 3 other jobs like I did. I didn't even tell you all about the 14 other jobs I had while I worked at the studio. You know what I mean? And that I still have. I have multiple jobs still, you know? So I think sync licensing and content creating. You guys are all on your phones 24/7, the TikToking, what's it called, podcasting, and all of the things, right? Artists need that. If you're naturally good, here's one more gem I'm going to drop and then I'm going to pass it to Candace. This is one thing that my brother told me when I was having a moment. I was having a moment in my career path where I don't know what to do. I don't know if I want to do this anymore. This is just, it's too much, blah, 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 blah. He said this, stop worrying about finding something that makes you money and look at the things you're already good at and find somebody to pay you for that. And that's what I did. I said, well, I know everybody, and I'm really good at talking to people, and I like people, and I love making ideas and things happen, so Boom, 3 years later, I am now partnerships, and I mean, we just did a partnership with Barbie last year, y'all, and I mean, that one to me was like oh, did we just do that? 3 years prior, they were saying, no, Destiny's Child. I said, Barbie, I didn't know you was part of the Destiny's Child. He said, no, and then all of a sudden she said yes, you know what I mean? So again, I think being open and really tapping into the things that you're already good at is gonna be the easiest way for you to stay creative, and then just have fun, you know? Like I said, I like to have fun every single day. Even in the weird meetings and all the things, I'm still gonna have a good time. So do that because you never know. So, yeah.
So, I'm gonna say this, as a student of the business, basically everything that they said, by being a student of the business, studying the business, understanding all different aspects of the business, is how I landed into my role and my career path into the live industry. So, being a student of business, exploring these different avenues is how I was able to explore my way into that industry and explore my way into a passion and now into a purpose. And so waking up with that passion and purpose is what's leading to the monetary revenue streams, multiple streams of income. Even though I have four or five jobs that wear many hats, it's necessary when you're fulfilling all of your passions and they all kind of align. One thing that I will say is so old school, but mentorship is definitely a pathway and a way into any industry. You identify people who are doing what you do, or doing what you want to do, or doing the things that you love. Maybe it's gaming, maybe it's technology, maybe it's music, music entertainment, but you identify people who are doing what you love and you reach out to them. You take the initiative to put yourself out there, offer yourself whatever you're good at. You know, maybe you're good at just organizing and or basic business acumen skills. Apply that and offer those services to someone who can mentor you straight to the top, who can use their network and their access to give you more access and opportunity, and to who can create a pathway for a passionate career, kind of how I've been able to get into. One other thing that I would say as an entryway into the industry now will be like this Web3 NFT thing that everybody's talking about, right? I would say that everybody's talking about Web3 NFT, but nobody's in there, but that's a lie. That's a lie. There are people in there, just the same way that the internet was a thing and people were like, no one's on the internet. Now we are all on the internet right now at this very moment. So I would say, don't get left far behind in that Web3 NFT conversation. Try to figure out your way into that space. Try to monetize in that space as a content creator or a creative, and carve out your own way. Carve out your own path. It's new. It's innovative. Try to figure out how you fit into it and create, opportunities that weren't there before. So.
All right. So I know we're coming up on the end of our time. But the title of this panel was around social impact. So my last leave behind question is that what can we do as part of Hip Hop Nation, as part of the culture, to create positive social impact in our communities? Candace, you start this time.
Okay.
So you don't feel like
Right.
yourself.
I know, man. I was kind of inspired by some of the things that they were saying. I would say, for me, I do it for the culture, right? Hip hop, R&B, the music scene or industry raised me. Coming from my background, transparently, I come from foster care. I come from nobody, right? So being able to attach myself to hip hop and the culture gave me something to align with, a purpose. It was a soundtrack to my life and my upbringing, and it was the one thing that led me to this industry and this career that I'm in, that I'm enjoying. And although my medium is the live concert platform or the live concert business, I'm gonna do everything I can through my medium to move the culture forward, right? So I would say just really finding something that you're truly passionate about so that you can move the culture forward and continue to build legacy around this, around hip hop. And like, I'm happy to even be a part of this conversation after 50 years. I'm within those 50 years somewhere age-wise. But the influence and impact that hip hop has had on me has allowed me to continue to contribute to the culture on the next level. So in the live concert business, right? Something that most people in my industry don't understand. They're not tied to the culture. They don't really know how to market to our people properly, things like that. And so I'm proud to be a voice in that space. So I would just say, find something you're truly passionate about in your career and contribute to this space and continue to build the hip hop culture, you know, to the next level. I'm excited to see the future of it.
Let's go. Let's see. Oh my gosh, wait. Jay, what was it?
Social impact. What can we do to make a
Here we
positive
go,
social
y'all.
impact?
This is what I think that we all can do, and I think I touched on it earlier. I feel like we all individually are so focused on our goal, right? Whereas so many people, you might spark the one thing that might create an organization or a pathway or that mind that's going to change the world, really. And music is that thing. Music is magic. So for me, I think it is really looking internally and using your platform, using your music, using your magic to really bring change. Like I said, I was talking to the girls. We have a Girls Make Beats podcast. And we were talking yesterday, and we're going to do, it's next month, so we're talking about what the topics are going to be. And the girls were talking about social justice. And I'm like, you know, these old iconic women used to use their platform. Maybe we talk about that. So again, I think for the younger kids in here, the younger people, not even the younger people, I ain't gonna do that to us. Look, if I want to turn around and become a rapper next week, yeah, I might, you know, never know. I would love for people to utilize their like voice. Utilize that voice a lot more to help really bring change. Because again, yes, we all love music, but I know that there's other things that were really important, you know, to us. So again, for myself, it's making sure that young girls are educated and feel comfortable in any space that they step into. So I'm gonna make sure that anytime they see me, that's what I'm gonna be doing. So utilize you. Use yourself as that vessel of an example. Just be an example of the things that you want to change in the world. So, yeah.
I consider myself an artist. My activism is through my artistry, and I encourage you to do the same because, you know, we're all going through a lot, as was stated earlier today, and I'm relying on you guys to fix things, if you will. And it's a very powerful platform in terms of entertainment to social change because you have everybody's ear. And so just be careful with whatever that content is. I like for, particularly with my films, for them to live off of the screen. So every project that I have a mandate. It has to have social impact programs attached to it. And so when I go to the studios, they know what's coming. They already know what comes along with that package. So, it's a part of the deal. Make it a part of the deal, whatever that is. And also, what you were talking about, Candace, earlier about mentors and mentees. A very, very powerful relationship. You can have a mentor, you can have a mentee yourself, and that way, you know, you can pass that torch. And if you do have mentors that you love and trust, listen to them. You know, because it's been very powerful for me. I found people who knew what they were doing, watched what they were doing, and I was like, I want what you got, and I want to do what you do. And I was also diligent by showing up for them, because you wouldn't believe the amount of people who are willing to help, but you know, the individuals that show up aren't always as serious as they could be about the process, because it is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And so I just encourage you to continue to also be your authentic self, because that message is really important. You know, don't hide behind a veneer that you think may or may not work, because if you make it or if you don't make it, you don't want it to be based on something that you're not. And so just be a living example of those elements, and I think you can really empower people and empower the world to get the much needed social change that we're trying to get to.
For me, change is, and making an impact is so important that music to the ears, music is actually an acronym. It stands for musicians using their skills to inspire change. So in a lot of ways that helps shape everything that I wanted to start developing. Our social enterprise that's connected to our music to the ears is called Academics Beat Lab. And the beat stands for business, entertainment, arts, and technology. That all comes from me as a DJ, from hip hop, keeping it authentic. Thinking about making change for me was, how do we get hip-hop education into schools? How do we get beat labs into schools? When I first started this journey maybe 10 years ago, and I said, I want to get a beat lab and these programs and have a K through 16 pipeline, they said it wasn't possible. But now we can say we have beat labs in elementary schools, some of them are in Playa Vista, middle schools, high schools. We just partnered with the Ivy Young Academy, which is the school founded by Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. We have our partnership with LMU Extension, where we have the first ever creative entrepreneurship. And a lot of that came from me being confident, being comfortable, and really making things happen. A lot of times some people might tell you, you can't do something, or they think your path should be the way they would do it. Finding that comfort level and confidence is a way where you can then impact change. Again, with the partnerships, we've been able to partner with Loyola Law School, for example, where we've taken LAUSD students to Loyola Law School to teach them about civic engagement, law, and leadership. So I think all of us collectively, the change that I'm looking to moving forward is working with all of you, right? And the nonprofit space, there is no competition. In entertainment, it's a lot of competition. A lot of people that want to go out for self. We had a chance to partner with Girls Make Beats in 2019 at our space downtown. And that synergy that we can create among the hip hop community, now a lot of us growing up are at an executive level, right? So we don't have to ask for permission to do things. We can use our network, our internal resources to make things happen. So I look forward to working with you, working with Jay, and then also working with the other team. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Acronym for my name, because you're really good at
So this has been an unbelievable conversation. I wish we could do this all afternoon, but our time is up. I will say, just to build on what Sketch said, we come from backgrounds where, from a very early age, the goal is to become independent. And I know a lot of you became independent at a very early age. You could take care of yourselves and all that other stuff. But the brass rings, the big apple, those big goals that you have, you're going to have to learn how to become interdependent. That means you can take care of yourself, but you got to be able to find other people that you can collaborate and build with. People you can trust, who have your best interest at heart, and who see the opportunities that you see. Hopefully this conversation will get your juices flowing, and you can identify some of those people. And of course, we're here for you. So have a great afternoon, and thank you.